If you're not completely burned out from Black Friday, I know personally I am a bit burned out. This year I felt it was extreme. What used to be one day of the year, Black Friday, seemed to span over the whole month of November. And I'm sure you as well, was bombarded by advertising. Buy this, make sure you don't miss this sale. It was exhausting, and honestly it turned me off from wanting to buy anything. I did end up purchasing 2 different things, which I will share with you in a second. But like I said, if you're not completely burned out from Black Friday, I do have a fun video for you. And if you are burned out, maybe look at this as entertainment. Because while I'm going to share some things with you I have really been enjoying over the last few months, none of these are must-haves. So don't feel the need to run out and purchase everything I'm going to share with you. But of course, if there is something that looks interesting, I will list and link everything I'm talking about down below in the info box. And if I happen to have a discount code, I will also link that down below. Now, really briefly before we get started, I noticed that on my last few videos, my sound is all over the place. There is something wrong with my microphone and I have to send it in to get fixed. However, if I do so, I can't film. My husband is coming to visit in 2 weeks. I can't wait. And of course, when he's here, I won't film. So I will send this off just before he gets here. So please bear with me until then. Hopefully the sound is not too bad. So, like I said, I purchased 2 different things for Black Friday. The first thing actually wasn't for Black Friday because it was on Deciem. And Deciem doesn't do Black Friday, they do Slovember. I purchased the Kappa Amino Isolate Lipid 1%. I have used this before, but it's been a while and I wanted to try it again. So this contains 1% kappa peptide, but it's not really a serum. It has a very interesting consistency. It is, first of all, beautifully blue, as you can see from the kappa peptide, but it's almost greasy, or it is greasy. It almost feels like Vaseline. So it has a very interesting consistency. And I actually purchased this to use as a slugging treatment. So as my last step in my evening skincare routine to seal everything in. I haven't used it long enough to give you an educated opinion on it. So let me try it a bit longer. And then of course I will let you know how I like this. If you have tried this, please share your experience with it down below. The other thing I purchased, I didn't bring up here because it's sort of a niche product, but let me wipe this off my hands. But it is an ozone generator. I have really gotten into ozone therapy for Sammy and myself. And I actually have a vet technician that comes to the house and gives Sam ozone therapy. But I was so intrigued by it that I purchased my own ozone generator. If you want to learn more about it, I'm happy to make a video on it. But like I said, it's a bit of a niche product, so I didn't want to bring it up. But I have some other really fun things in front of me, which I have really been enjoying. And I'm going to go in no particular order. The first thing I have really been enjoying is this body lotion by Necessaire. I'm not quite sure how I came across the brand Necessaire, but I'm really glad I did because I am really enjoying this body lotion. And I have since looked, and Necessaire has a whole range of different body products and even hair products. And I definitely want to try some other products. But so far, this is the first product I've used from the brand. Now, the reason I purchased this body lotion is, I've talked about this before in other videos, I have really neglected the skin on my neck, chest, and the rest of my body. And I used to be such a sun worshipper, and it is really showing. I have so much sun damage, so I want to give the skin on my body, including my neck and my chest, some more love, which is why I purchased this lotion. This is skincare for the body, basically. It contains 6 different peptides, vitamin C, niacinamide, and some other beautiful ingredients, and the consistency is really lovely. It's a bit thicker, which I like, especially for winter or for nighttime. So it's a bit thicker, but it sinks in beautifully, doesn't leave a greasy residue, but is nicely hydrating. And I can't really detect a scent. If there is one, it's very light. But the way I have been using this is mixing just 1 pump of my Alloy Tretinoin with this. I wanted to try the Alloy Tretinoin because I really like the Alloy Estrogen Cream. So I wanted to give this a try, but I really don't like the formulation. I think I've showed it before. It's like Vaseline. I just don't care for it. So what I have been doing instead of using this on my face is mixing a pump of this with this and applying it nightly. Now, I haven't done that for long enough. I think I've done that for about 4 weeks now. So not long enough to tell you if it indeed makes a difference, but I've really been enjoying it. And I wake up in the morning with my skin nicely hydrated and not the slightest bit irritated. So once I'm out of this, as I mentioned earlier, Necessaire has a whole range of body products, and they do have a body lotion containing 0.1% retinol, and that one also contains some peptides as well as alpha-hydroxy acids. I might just try that next. But for right now, I'm really enjoying this particular body lotion. It's just called the body lotion, but I'm really, really enjoying it. And I can't quite remember how much I paid for this. I will put the price right here. But I do know they have a bigger container. So this is 200 ml or 6.8 ounces. But I do know they have, I believe it's a half a liter container with a pump. If you have tried any of the Necessaire products, please share your experience with them down below. Let's see, next, let's stay with the body. I just have one more body product and then the rest is all facial skincare. Something else that I have not necessarily enjoyed, but that has been very, very helpful is this Eucerine Urea Repair Plus lotion. I get very, very dry feet, especially in winter. My feet are really dry all year round, but in winter they get so bad that they almost hurt. And when we still lived in Paris, I saw a podiatrist for something I can't remember now why, but he looked at my feet and he said, you need to put this on your feet for your dry feet. And I ended up purchasing this in Paris and then forgot about it. So just for the last month or so, I have been using this almost nightly and it has made such a huge difference. So this contains urea, and urea, depending on the percentage, can either be hydrating or it can be exfoliating. So usually under 10% urea is quite hydrating, and at percentages over 10%, especially at 30%, urea acts as a keratolytic agent, meaning it breaks down keratin, which is the protein that makes up the outer layer of our skin. This has made such a difference in my dry feet. And the way I like to use this is, let's see, I use this nightly or almost nightly, and I apply a fairly thick layer, and then I put these cute little Prequel socks on top. I've talked about Prequel before. Prequel is a brand by Dr. Sam Ellis, a dermatologist here on YouTube. And I actually really like her cleanser or her cleanser. So I have tried her cleanser and I've tried these cute little socks and also the, and the foot ointment that comes with it. So these socks come with a foot ointment. You can purchase them separately, but I purchased them together because I wanted to try it. And this too contains urea at 15%, so a higher percentage, but not quite 30%. This also contains salicylic acid and I believe malic acid. So it has some other exfoliators in it. But while this is nice, I prefer the Eucerine. I find it even more hydrating, more exfoliating, and I prefer the consistency. And I'll show you why. So both of these are a bit on the thicker side, but the Eucerine, I'm almost out of this one, but I'm definitely going to repurchase it. And like I said, I purchased this in Paris, but I found it on Amazon, which is good. So the Eucerine is a bit on the greasy side, but it's light enough that it doesn't gross me out and it sinks in okay. It takes a while to sink in, especially because I apply a fairly thick layer. But like I said, I apply a fairly thick layer and then I put these socks on over it. And these socks have gel on the inside, which is perfect because it doesn't absorb, the gel doesn't absorb the cream. In the past, I just used a cream like this on my feet and then put regular socks on, which works. But a lot of the cream gets absorbed by the socks. So with this gel here, that doesn't happen, which is really nice. The only thing, and I learned this the hard way, you can't walk in these because they are quite slippery. So what I do at night, I apply a fairly thick layer of this, then put on these socks, go to bed, read for a half hour or so, and then I take the socks off because I run really hard at night and I can't sleep with socks on. But this will have sunken in about half hour or so. In the morning I wake up and my feet are nicely hydrated and they don't hurt. So I have been doing this for a few weeks now, maybe a month. And like I said, it has made a huge, huge difference in my skin. When I first got the socks, I did use the Prequel ointment with it, but it is super greasy and, yep, it does it again. It separates. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see an oily, or if you can see it, sorry, there's an oily layer down here and then the lotion is up here. So it separates, which isn't the biggest deal. I can just mix it together, but it's really heavy and really greasy. It feels almost stickier and heavier than Vaseline. So when I put this on my feet and then the socks on top, this has not sunken in half an hour. I have to really leave the socks on overnight, which again, I just get too hot and I can't do it. So my preferred combination is the Eucerine with these socks. It has done wonders for my dry feet. And if you have the same problem, try this combination, or even just the Eucerine with regular socks. Like I said, it'll work as well. Just your socks will absorb a little bit of the Eucerine. But this is really, really amazing. Of course, you could apply this to dry elbows, dry knees, anything that needs a bit extra love or exfoliation. And if you have a better tip for dry feet, please share down below. Let me get this goop off before I show you the next thing I have been enjoying. Like I said, I'm going in no particular order here. Something I changed my mind on is this sunscreen right here called LIghtsaver. My friend Tamara from Tamara's Timeless Beauty and myself always do a yearly sunscreen review. And this year was really fun. We got to do it together in person. And I talked about this, saying that it has a nice consistency, but it doesn't really work for me because the color is off. I have since changed my mind. And what I've noticed is with different sunscreens that, at least for me, it really depends on what moisturizer I wear underneath. So depending on how greasy or heavy the moisturizer is, does seem to change how sunscreen looks afterwards, at least on myself. And since I don't wear makeup, I do need my sunscreen to look somewhat good. I don't just cover it up with makeup. But for the last, it's probably been 6 months now, I have been using the Urea NMF Hydrator, which is lovely. It's a very light but very moisturizing hydrator, and it works beautifully underneath this SPF. So I have changed my mind about this SPF. This is a mineral SPF. It uses zinc oxide. This also contains a DNA repair enzyme called photolyase. And photolyase, and I really hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is a DNA repair enzyme which gets activated by light. So it is the perfect addition to an SPF. This is tinted, but they just recently came out with a non-tinted version as well, which I haven't tried, but if you have, please share experience with it down below. Now, since I've changed my mind on this, I have repurchased this 2 more times. So this is my second container. It's almost empty, and I have a third one waiting for me in the bathroom. But I hope I have enough in here to show you, yep, the color and consistency. So this is slightly tinted, but the tint doesn't really give much coverage. It just sort of blurs out imperfections. It sinks in beautifully, and it layers beautifully, and as you can see, it just leaves you with a glowy but not greasy finish. So lately I have been going back and forth between the Clear Stem SPF, which I've shared before several times, and this one. Both of them are beautiful, though this one, I'm not sure I would reach much for this in summer because unfortunately, while it is gorgeous and I like the addition of the DNA repair enzyme, unfortunately the SPF is only 35. So in summer, living in Southern California, I want something a bit higher. But for winter, this is beautiful. It's also I can't talk. It's also nicely hydrating. If you have tried this, or like I said, the non-tinted version, please let us know in the comments. Next, I think it was in my last What I'm Loving Right Now video, I talked about the Madagascar Centella cleansing oil, which I love. And I think I'm on my second or third container of that one as well. But because I like that so much, I wanted to try the Madagascar Centella Ampoule. I had been curious about this for a while, but I was hesitant to purchase it because I wasn't quite sure where it would fit in my routine. Because, at least to me, this is somewhere between an essence and a serum. And while I feel that essences can probably be quite beneficial, it's not a step I necessarily want to bother with. And I feel I'm set on my serums. I have my vitamin C serum for the morning, and then either my growth factor or peptide serum for the evening. So I was hesitant to purchase this because, again, I didn't quite know where to fit it in. But I'm really glad I purchased it. It's super inexpensive, and I'm really glad I purchased it because it's gorgeous. It is, like I said, at least in my opinion, between an essence and a serum. It's super hydrating. It's hard to show you because it is so runny, but it is super hydrating. But it doesn't necessarily feel watery. The very first ingredient is Centella asiatica, which is very soothing and anti-inflammatory. Then it also contains water, of course, and glycerin. And I think it's the glycerin I'm feeling. It does have sort of a silky feeling to it. And aside from the Centella asiatica, the water and glycerin, it just contains cellulose and 3 other ingredients. So the way I have been using this actually is not necessarily on a daily basis, well, almost daily basis, but I don't necessarily incorporate into my skincare. What I do is at night, I like to sit in front of the TV and use my Zip on Founder's Favorite, and I just sit there and zone out and use Founder's Favorite over and over again. But usually in the evenings, and by the way, if you're curious about my evening routine, not just my skincare routine, but in general what I do at night, I just recently uploaded my sort of longevity evening routine. I will link that down below. But I like to take a sauna at night, then I shower, I have dinner, and after that I sit in front of the TV, and like I said, I like to use my Zip. But between the shower and the Zip, I don't really want to apply skincare because I'm going to apply the gel, but I don't want my skin to just be bare and dry out. So that is when I have been using this. I just take a handful of this and slather it on all over. My skin feels really happy, especially after the sauna. It feels really happy and hydrated. And then I also feel, because it is so hydrated, when I apply the Zip gel, first of all, I need a bit less, and I get a better treatment because my skin is so nicely plumped up and hydrated. So that is how I've been using this. Or if my skin just feels irritated and needs a bit of pick-me-up, then I will use this as well. So I don't necessarily, like I said, incorporate into my skincare routine, but that's how I've been using it, and I've really, really been enjoying it. And I love that it's a glass bottle. Like I said, it is quite inexpensive. I definitely think it's worth it. And once I'm out of this, which will take a while because this is, I'm actually not even sure how much is in here, 100 ml. So once I'm out of this, I will definitely repurchase it. If you have tried this or anything else by the brand, or you have something similar like this, please share down below. Next, let's see. I only have a couple more things. One of you, in my evening skincare routine, I talked about using the Biologique Recherche Lotion P50W, which I have right here, and which I have been loving for years. Now, this is a French product, and when I lived in Paris, I used this quite a bit and loved it. And I said in my evening skincare routine that I was missing a bit of Paris in my life, which is why I repurchased this. This is not easy to find, and it's not cheap. In Paris, this is a lot less expensive. I was going to say a lot more inexpensive. It's a lot less expensive. It's still not cheap, but it's less expensive than if I purchased this in the US. So one of you told me that I think it's Desi Stark, who also has a YouTube channel here. If you don't know her, she's fabulous. I will link her down below. She apparently, I didn't watch the video, but she apparently said that there is a dupe to the Biologique Recherche P50 lotion, which is just as beautiful, but easier to find and also less expensive. And the dupe, or at least Desi calls it a dupe, is by Edam, and it is called Cashmere Peel. So once I read the comment of one of you saying that this is supposed to be a dupe for the Biologique Recherche P50 lotion, I had to, of course, get this and try it. And I have to say, I love it. But I wouldn't say it is a dupe for the Biologique Recherche P50 lotion for several reasons. But let's start with the similarities first. Both of these contain lactic acid, which is my favorite alpha-hydroxy acid, because I find it to be effective but mild and hydrating. They also both contain gluconolactone. But the P50 lotion also contains a bit of salicylic acid, some vinegar. The P50W, which is what I use, also contains arnica, and then of course it has a bunch of other ingredients. Versus the Cashmere Peel, on top of the lactic acid and gluconolactone, also contains azelaic acid, citric acid, and tranexamic acid. Also, the smell is quite different. The P50 lotion, while I love it, the smell is horrendous. It smells, like I said, it has some vinegar in it, and you can definitely smell that. When I use this, my husband hates it. My husband hates the smell of vinegar, so he's not too fond of this. But this is an amazing product. Like I said, I have been loving this for years and am still loving it. But right now, I am really loving the Cashmere Peel. So the smell is completely different. In fact, I don't really detect a scent right here. The feel is also quite different. So while the P50W is called a lotion, it really isn't a lotion. It is a toner. It's very watery. Oops, you can see it just runs right into my hand. It's very watery. And again, a bit on the stinky side, but very watery. Versus this is more like a lotion. I hope you can see this. It comes out much thicker and kind of creamy. And while I apply this the same way as the P50 lotion, so I put a little bit on a gauze pad, I cannot talk today, on a gauze pad rather than a cotton pad because it just doesn't soak up so much of the product. While I apply them both in the same way, this one feels completely different on the skin. It sort of just glides over the skin and feels very silky and very hydrating. And I'm assuming that is from the glycerin it contains. It also contains some skin calming ingredients, such as rice water and colloidal oatmeal extract. So this I have really been enjoying. However, I would not say it is a dupe for the Lotion P50. But if you have been curious about the Lotion P50, but can't find it, it's too expensive, it's too strong for you, or you don't like the smell, maybe give this a try. Again, it's not a dupe, but it is a beautiful product, and I'm definitely enjoying using it right now. So I thought I had something else, but I think that's it. The only other thing I wanted to share with you is a TV show I just finished watching, and I was really sad when it was over. It's called Lessons in Chemistry. And I believe it is on Apple. I can't remember. I will put it right here. I believe it's on Apple, but like I said, I will put it right here. I don't want to give anything away. It was just a really enjoyable, at times sad, at times uplifting, and at times empowering show. I really enjoyed it. If you have seen Lessons in Chemistry, let us know down below how you felt about it. And if you have seen any other TV shows or movies or have read any good books, please share down below. I am constantly looking for good books to read or good shows to watch or movies to watch, something uplifting, light. So if you, again, have seen anything or read anything that you have really enjoyed, please share down below. Any other questions or comments? Of course, please share them down below. Always love to hear from you. If you have tried any of these products, please share your experience with it down below. And if you have tried any products you have really loved, share them down below as well. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, bye.